Hello everybody, and welcome to the final Festival of Legends Hearthstone card reveal stream, where we're going to be revealing a bunch of Hearthstone cards, and we're going to be chatting with our special guest. I'm going to let him introduce himself in just a second, but I get to go first. My name's Cora Georgiou. I am the initial design lead on the Hearthstone team.
I'm Leo Robles Gonzalez, one of the designers on the Hearthstone team and also the set lead for Festival of Legends.
And today we are so excited because we are joined by Regis Kilman, content creator and community member extraordinaire.
Yeah, I'm Regis. They just pulled me in off the street, but I'm excited to see some new cards.
He was wandering around like in front of the gate, and we just said, "Hey, do you want to look at some Hearthstone cards?" He said, "Yeah, absolutely, I do." And we don't want to keep y'all waiting any longer than we have to. We wanted to start with a bang here, Regis. So we are so excited to show you one of the exciting new legendary spells from the Festival of Legends Hearthstone expansion. This is Rhythm and Roots. Rhythm and Roots, our Druid Festival of Legends legendary song. This one's a lot of fun because it gets to harken back to that secretly mechanic that we had on a card like Fate Spinner that was quite some time ago. What are your thoughts on this one, Regis?
Yeah, that was a long time ago, Fate Spinner. I really like the idea of the secretly mechanic, really tossing to the opponent and saying, hey, what am I going to do? And in this case, both results are just summoning giant dudes, and I love giant minions, so I'm absolutely on board for this. But I have to say, I really, really like the animations and the music for the legendary spells. It's so cool to see actual music in Hearthstone for each individual card. I imagine that was a lot of work to set all that up.
Yeah, I mean the effects team, design, sound team, everyone worked together like really closely for all of the legendary cards, all the cards in general, but specifically the legendary spells, because they have sick VFX and really cool songs. In the past, whenever we've done legendary spells, they don't have music, they just have the effects and sound effects and that's it, and they're awesome. But this time, the whole theme of the expansion is music. The legendary spells are literally songs. It felt wrong not to have music in them, so I'm really excited for just being able to listen to music while playing these spells, and Rhythm and Roots is pretty groovy.
Groovy. Yeah. So as a card designer, are you helping guide some of that music creation process? Are you in there like composers or?
Myself personally, not that much. I think like anytime any team got to get started on working on something, they'd always have questions like, okay, I just want to like double check what genre is which class. Specifically in that genre, what are some like instruments and I guess like tropes in that genre to pull from for this? And for Rhythm and Roots, it was a lot of, psych rock, very like laid back, chill vibes. And you can see that also in the VFX, right? With the Mandelas and just, I mean, the VFX on this are incredible. And fun fact, this is the first choose one spell with effects ever, like unique on play when you're making the choice effects ever. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, the VFX and sound really popped off with this set.
I like that you just send a note that says, make it groovy. And they just like solve the...
Then they come back to us with an email like, is it groovy enough?
Oh, yes.
Groovy enough.
Yes.
Check in on the grooviness level. I actually like, with choose one spells like this in particular, there's so much different art that you get to see for one card, like 5 distinct art pieces is really nice. And I noticed in particular, the giant has a saxophone. I feel like the saxophone has been iconic in Hearthstone's history for YouTubers galore.
Yeah. I'm really happy with the art for every single piece of Rhythm and Roots. And that saxophone, because on the design team, we write the art descriptions and then send them to the art outsourcing team. And for this one, I don't think the saxophone was a part of it. It was just like, make a really like groovy looking, big, giant ancient guy. And then the art supervisor was like, what if we added a saxophone? And I was like, yes, please do.
The more saxophones, the better.
Yeah.
And keeping with that theme of saxophones, obviously with choose one spells, it's everything's got to work together as a team. But we have a wonderful selection of soloist cards in this set that really prefer to work alone. And one of them is rocking with a saxophone. So let's go ahead and check out the Saxophone Soloist. And that is Saxophone Soloist. He does like to work alone, and he doesn't look thrilled to be doing it, but you know what? He's doing a great job nonetheless. Regis, what are your thoughts on this card?
Well, I feel bad. I feel like Murlocs always want to be with other Murlocs. They get buffs from each other and like having other Murlocs on board. So that's probably why he looks so lonely and sad. But you know, he's a soloist, so that's his calling. I do like the idea though, from a play standpoint, where you get to start every turn potentially with a fresh Murloc. Like the opponent wipes the board, and I get to start over, and I always have that extra Murloc in hand to start building on. So maybe he'll find some friends along the way.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun, oddly enough, even for decks that aren't all in on Murlocs, right? For decks that are running more spells or just a slower game plan, having a 1-mana minion just to play every turn, as long as you don't have other minions, is pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think we saw Mellowmania teased in that video. It's hard with me. I
Yes.
think we're talking about a little later, maybe.
Yes.
But that
Yes.
seems like a good match for the Saxophone
That is
Soloist.
true. That is very true.
It's like we did it intentionally. Yeah, we'll talk about Mellowmania a little bit later on. We want to hook into some other soloists first. Yeah, the Saxophone Soloist, sort of, if you play it on turn 1, is a lot like a Firefly, apart from Journey to
Love
Ungoro.
Firefly.
But then, you could potentially keep getting value from it if you keep playing it without any other minions on your board. So it's a little bit of a fun Murloc right there. But that is not the only soloist that we are going to be showing you today. We've got one more coming right up now. I think everybody knows, like, if you go to a party when you're in college, there's that one guy sitting in the corner just like playing guitar by himself.
I've never been to a
he's
party.
Really cool. We'll take
Sorry.
Regis to a party. I don't know that people party at our age, but it's okay. Just trust me, there was that guy, and this is the guitar soloist. Some pretty good value right there with the guitar soloist. Get to draw 3 cards if you have no other minions on the board.
Yeah, I feel like the Demon Hunter's always been the king of card draw, and that is a lot of card draw attached to a minion as well. So you both get on board, and it's specific card draw too, so you're tutoring specific cards. There's going to be some awesome weapon I want to find. That looks really, really strong.
Oh yeah. We've seen stat lines like that, 5-mana, draw 3, but this time, like you said, specific tutors, which is crazy.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like we also have another soloist here, the Harmonica Soloist as well. That is an awesome Discover card. We've got these 3-mana Discover cards I feel like that always pop up in Hearthstone, and it looks like this one gives you some tempo as well with an immediate secret. That feels like Hunter doing awesome Hunter stuff.
Yeah, the gameplay of discovering a secret, I've always been partial to. It's so much fun because you're given the choice of something that your opponent doesn't know, which in a way makes them able to like play around it more, knowing that you had a choice to make, right?
As opposed to drawing into a random secret.
Yeah, a random secret. Who knows what that is?
But you can also mind games a little bit. It's
and
like,
just pick a random.
They know that I know that they know. So
Yeah,
some real trickery there. So in regards to Soloist, this is a little package of minions we've gotten throughout the set. Can you describe how you came up with the idea of Soloists and why you wanted to create those?
Yeah. So that starts with the fantasy of performing a solo when you're at a musical performance or something. It's a very dreamy thing that I think a lot of us kind of want to do. Spotlights on you. Go player. And yes, you do. Yes, you do. But we wanted to translate that into what it means as a Hearthstone minion. And when trying to just think of how do we convey that through mechanics, there was an old card from, I think, Kobolds and Catacombs called Lone Champion.
I love Lone Champion.
Everyone loves
that
Lone
card was
Champion
awesome, yeah.
just as much as they love playing solos. So that gameplay was really cool, and that card's pretty well loved among the community. And the design space there is incredible. It's a very simple input for whatever you want as the output. So
Right, Leo, that was a great card from Kobolds and Catacombs.
Catacombs? Great cycle of cards. Yeah, because we can just kind of mold their output to whatever we want, to whatever deck we want it to be in.
So you told me Lone Champion was like playing guitar secretly and we didn't know it this whole time?
He was playing an
After all
instrument
these
you've
years.
never even heard about, all right?
Some magical
Yeah,
Warcraft
yeah.
Lone
instrument.
Champion special.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. I think Soloists are going to be a lot of fun to play with.
Yeah.
And a soloist wouldn't be anything if
Nope.
they didn't have their instrument. let's go ahead and check out the Koto High drum kit, one of the new instruments from the set. So warriors like to gain armor, they like to deal damage to all minions on the board, and we thought we should probably just put those two things together, and then we got the Koto High drum kit.
Yeah, I love any excuse to play armor cards. My fantasy in Hearthstone is just gaining as much armor as possible. So I think I'm going to be playing a lot of this. Now, I did have a question about how this one works. It says gain armor while equipped improved. There's the new card, Razorfin Rockstar. You gain armor, and then that gains you an extra tick of armor.
Yep.
Are both of those gonna to proc the Koto High drum kit upgrade, or?
Yes. So it's every instance of gaining armor will take this up by 1. So if you have, Razorfin Rockstar and you hero power, your hero power gives you 2 armor, that's 1 tick. Rockstar gives you 2 armor, that's another tick. Boom. There's also, synergies with stuff like, oh my god, Armorsmith?
Yep.
Armorsmith. Yeah, Armorsmith, sorry. She, every single time somebody takes damage, she gives you 1 armor. Each one of those is a separate tick of armor, which kind of makes your drum kit huge.
I like that a lot. Yeah, get a full board of minions and just start whirlwinding away. Yeah, that's gonna make an awesome AoE.
I also just love the idea of Garrosh picking up a drum kit, just slamming people over the head with it.
That's very Warriors, very rock to be able to do that. And I think it works really well with the Warrior kit for this set. But of course, every class has to have their instrument that works with their song and their legendary artist. So let's go ahead and jump now over to the Kings of Disco, Paladin, with the Disco Maul. Paladin, the obvious choice for Disco. Let me just say that right off the bat.
True.
If you play a lot of minions, you get a lot of buffs.
Yeah, so number 1, Paladin and Disco is an interesting combination.
Correct combination.
Correct combination.
Oh, yeah.
But number 2, it's called Disco Maul, which rhymes with Disco Ball.
Yes.
That can't have been an accident.
That was 100% the joke. That is why it's named that.
Sometimes we do things accidentally, but this one was intentional.
Okay. And I liked that clip too. They got really, really lucky with their minion buff there. But that's kind of part of the intrigue of the card is you want to play minions to get extra stats on the weapon, but then you've also got this risk of all these extra minions being on board and maybe hitting the wrong target. But I have a plan. I'm scheming already. I want to play I want to just play like 20 minions throughout the course of the game, 30 minions, just keep dumping it up, and then wait till the end of the game and play 1 charge minion, maybe a free bird. We saw free bird, right? I'm gonna make the most epic free bird with 1 giant buff. That's gonna be like my day 1 deck, I think.
That's the thing with a lot of these death rattle instruments is you can try to play really greedy, you can try to get those numbers really big, but if your opponent has weapon removal, you can get punished for it, so you gotta have the right timing. But there are instruments belonging to 3 classes in this set that don't have to worry about those death rattles being procced at the wrong time, like Mage's Cosmic Keyboard.
Yeah, well, after you cast a spell, summon an elemental with stats equal to its cost. So big elementals, and by the way, that elemental looks sick. That is some awesome art. I love anytime Hearthstone trends cosmic, and that dude is awesome, but it looks like we're getting some more big spell mage support almost here.
Yeah, I mean, you play this with anything 5 and above. For 2 mana, you get to do that 3 times, that's crazy. Even still, like, if you just play this on 2, turn 3, you play a 3-cost spell, that's not bad either, and then, do as you please next turn.
Right,
but
save the durability for later for bigger ones too. Yeah, that's awesome. So when it comes to instruments, how did you guys pick which instruments go with which class? Minus, nice rhymes like Disco Maul. I can imagine like Googling types of weapons. What rhymes with ball?
We definitely went to Wikipedia and searched instruments.
I mean, a lot of it is almost kind of trying to like make a puzzle out of it and putting the right pieces where they need to go. We didn't want half of the classes to have guitars, right? Because then it's just redundant and a lot of the same. So we wanted to focus in on what makes those genres for the classes really special and find the instruments involved with that make it feel super unique, right? For like disco music and you know, retro music in that vein, you hear the slap bass, right? Bass guitar is huge. So Disco Mall is a bass. Boom. For rock and roll, we got a drum kit because, you know, drums are core to, you know, that very driving rhythm of rock music. I think every single genre has an instrument that feels really unique and, you know, compelling on its own. And that's just on the theme. On the designs, I think they all feel super unique as well. They each have their own like improved condition. For the Disco Mall, playing minions. For the drum kit, gaining armor, right? Totally different hooks for how to, you know, juice them up.
Did you play any instruments personally? Like, are you a musician?
So yes, but I don't play instruments. I used to make music like in like software on my laptop, right? Like making sick beats and stuff in high school. But Cora, you used to sing or do sing.
I am washed up, but yes, I did sing for a long time.
Yeah.
I was never much of an instrumentalist, unfortunately.
I am the worst musical person. You guys pick the worst.
Well, we did just grab you off the street,
Yeah,
right?
true.
You just have to be here.
I am so not
convenient.
musically inclined at all. I'm learning a lot from you too.
Last year we did karaoke sometime. Really good.
You'll regret that.
It'd be a good time.
We could kick some songs off right now, I guess.
Not without getting copyrighted. Maybe we'll save that for another stream.
Okay. Smart.
All right. Well, I don't want you to get alarmed. The next thing we're going to talk about is the keyword for the expansion finale, but it's not the last section we have to discuss.
More
We
cards.
have some stuff coming up after, so we won't get our bonus right now because it is not the last thing we're going to do. But let's go ahead and check out some finale cards, and you can think about how you would want to use them in the game. It was important to us that for all of the classes, the vibes be good. And for Shaman, they are particularly chill.
Yeah, this card looks really efficient. Like, used to I think we had to pay 3 mana for 8 healing straight up, and now you get a bonus 3/3 as well, so you're not really sacrificing a lot of tempo to take your healing. This is exactly the sort of card I think I always like to play.
Yeah.
Just stay alive, be defensive. That's my favorite kind of Hearthstone.
This card, it feels really good to play. It's honestly one of my favorite finale cards that we have, but like you were saying, you know, in the past we've had just 3 mana, restore 8 health, and admittedly that was not the best card. So now, getting the 3/3 on top of it, if you're on turn 3, you've probably not taken 8 damage at that point. You might have taken like, I don't know, 5 or less or something. So you're missing out on some healing, maybe even you're missing out on most of it, but you still get a 3/3, which is kind of sick. That's kind of chill.
so it's fine to play early, but then late it feels really good with
Yeah.
the healing as well. That's nice. When cards kind of always feel good to play, there's no moment where it's wrong to play it. That's nice.
Yeah, and actually finale was a keyword that came about a little bit later in the process. I know we tried, there's just so many like incredible words associated with music in general and with the genre that we tried so many of them before we hooked into finale.
Yeah, I think with every expansion, there's a lot of stuff we work on that people just don't get to see. We experiment with a lot of different keywords, a lot of different themes and fantasies and stuff like that. And for the music expansion, there's, like Cora was saying, there's just a lot of words that are really evocative of just really cool stuff that you just haven't seen in Hearthstone before. And we tried to kind of contextualize the abstract concept of music into mechanics in Hearthstone, which is not easy. And a lot of the mechanics we tried were like, And then finale, like Cora said, came about pretty late in the process, which is fitting for finale.
Sure.
But it just felt awesome. It's just, you're doing what Hearthstone's already asking you to do. You just spend your mana, and then you get a reward.
Yeah.
Every keyword that we try is great. They're all great, but some of them are
We've
just better.
never done bad keywords, ever.
How tempting was it to use the word tempo? It's something we talk about in Hearthstone all the time. Anyway, tempo.
I think we tried.
Well, there was a spell that I don't remember which one specifically, but there was a spell that was called Tempo for a long time. And then people were like, that's weird. And I'm like, fine, fine.
Weird sounds right up your alley for cards, though. I like that.
All right, so we've just seen a pretty chill card. Let's shift gears to a pretty cool card. This is a Frost Death Knight minion, Hardcore Cultist.
Lightbound is killing it! Lightbound is killing it!
Frost Death Knight loves to deal damage, Hardcore Cultist. It's already pretty hardcore, but then you trigger that finale effect and you can deal damage to all enemies.
Yeah, this card looks like it's packing quite a punch for 3 mana, like a board clear and some extra chip face damage as well. And I also like that it's a single rune for Frost, because that means we can put it in a climactic necrotic explosion deck, which I'm super excited to play. I think that's still the card I'm most excited about.
Yeah, the Death Knight stuff in this set I'm super happy with. Like the Rainbow Death Knight is super fun, but even just the way we've spread out like the different runes for stuff. Hardcore Cultist is I think the only like full-on Frost card, like only Frost card I should say, but the fact that you can mix runes, right, especially with the addition of the climactic necrotic explosion, means that, you know, single rune and double rune cards are just a lot more appealing to build decks with.
Right. When you guys are designing rune cards, is it starting from like we need to solve this problem for Frost, or is it starting more from the thematic standpoint?
I think for this at least, we just wanted to, whoever was working on Death Knight was like, I want to make, you know, the blood health manipulation deck, and then we built up the cards for that. And then with the remaining cards, it's just a matter of looking at, okay, what other runes, what other things can we give love to? Can we, you know, build up a little bit more? You'll see some like death rattle-y themes for Unholy. You'll see Hardcore Cultist for Frost. So
damage for Frost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think every designer sort of approaches archetypes from a different lens. And we can take a look at a couple of different cards that go into different archetypes across different classes here. Just a whole bundle of Finale stuff. We can start top left with Boogie Down. Summon 2 1-cost minions from your deck. Finale, give them Taunt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, wow, this is giving me kind of old Call to Arms vibes, summoning minions from your deck, and that was a pretty strong card, so I'm intrigued about this one. But I have to say, I like this Finale. This feels almost like an option as opposed to a bonus. Like, it can be a bonus, but there might be instances where you don't want your small stuff to have taunt. Like, maybe you want to hide it behind a big minion. It's neat how some Finale cards feel like you kind of always want the Finale, but other ones there's a decision to be made.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the thought process behind that?
Yeah, so designing Finale, you're being rewarded just for spending the mana. There's no actual like extra investment outside of, I guess, like ordering your turn correctly and, you know, being limited to 1 per turn most of the time. So the effects like Boogie Down that are kind of like options, a flip side, work super well, because like you said, sometimes you just don't want to. I think, you know, we do want the keywords to feel awesome and feel really cool to play with. So cards like, you know, you've seen Chill Vibes or Hardcore Cultist that just give you upside if you do them. Those are super fun too. I think even still with Boogie Down, Taunt, I think in most cases is probably going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
The cases where it isn't, I think is where a lot of, you know, skill expression and more invested players can really show off like, oh, I'm smart. I didn't get the taunt on this card, even though the game wants me to.
Yeah, I can't show off being smart, unfortunately. I'll save that for other people.
No. You're sounding really smart right now. Here, I'll give you an opportunity.
Sure,
Taste of Chaos. Sound smart.
Yeah, so we've got a little bit of a way to wipe a minion here, and then also discover a fell spell. So any card that's generating extra stuff, generating value, giving me decision points, I like that. That's a nice little bonus.
And Taste of Chaos itself is a fell spell.
Ah, yeah. Oh, also, that guy's hair. I think I'm going to take up that hairstyle.
Do it. You should pose in that exact way. Right?
Okay,
Emo
the
Regis is my next
counter for you is it 2?
This? I've done it like 4
Okay,
times.
that's 3.
Now 5.
It's 5. The numbers are off the charts, and counting is not our specialty.
You guys are gonna see Emo Regis on stream when I get
Yes.
home.
Oh, yes, please.
Taking a new direction.
Oh my god.
All right, yeah, so Taste of Chaos, pretty much straight up upside. Maybe hard to play it on turn 1, unless your opponent goes first and plays maybe a Saxophone Soloist if they're a jazz shaman. Then you get that bonus, which is pretty nice. And it can discover itself, which is neat. It cannot discover itself.
No.
Oh, right, because discover cards can't discover themselves. Okay, who's not looking smart now? It's me, and I am the one who makes the rules. Ain't that great?
You took one for me. Yeah, thank you.
All right, Demonic Dynamics. Another fell spell, but this time for Warlock.
Yeah, and this is just a lot of value again. You give me a value card, I'm gonna enjoy it. I want slow, grindy games. I want to find a lot of cards to play. So this looks perfect, and some bonus stats along the way too is nice.
Yeah, and with this card specifically, or with any finale card that is a discover effect, the super interesting part to me is usually, resource generation is something you want to do early in the turn, so you can get your stuff and then evaluate, what do I do now? This is asking you to do it last, right? So this is one of those designs where there is a clear upside to playing it first, and then a clear upside to playing it last, and figuring out when to do the finale versus when not to is a lot of fun.
Right, am I trying to find a card to play now, or am I trying to find better cards to play next turn is a real interesting decision point. Yeah, that's cool. I see the Thorn Mantle Musician here as well, and I have to say that is the cutest, card art I have ever seen. Is that like a little teddy bear on there?
It's a little hyena.
Oh, it's a
little hyena cub.
Oh man,
he loves the music. He's just chilling.
I can't wait to zoom in on that. Have you guys seen those videos where they play music in a field and all the cows?
I've seen a video where someone's playing a flute and then a bunch of raccoons just swarm out listening to the music. I love that video.
Yeah, that
I have not seen. You're gonna have to send me that one. I have seen some like sleepy cow videos where they're just like that. It's great.
That is the cutest art I've ever seen. Also, Quillbore is showing up a fair bit in this set as well. It's nice to see Quillbore actually getting some focus, particularly with Menagerie decks being a thing.
Yeah, so Quillbore, like you said, just with Menagerie decks, it's just another way to, add an extra bonus effect to your One Amalgam Band, get more buffs from your party animal, what have you. But we actually, early on in the set, tried to do, like, the Battlegrounds Blood Gem inspired Quillbore decks in Standard. We thought that gameplay was super fun, and in Thousand Needles, where the Festival of Legends takes place, it's right next to Razorfen Downs, where a bunch of Quillbore are. So it made sense to kind of have them show up at the festival if it's a local music scene, right?
Sure.
But we tried kind of figuring out what a Quillbore deck could look like, and ended up not finding anything that we thought was really compelling for the standard gameplay. But that doesn't mean we just shouldn't do Quillbore. There's implications, like you said, with Menagerie. It's also just cool to see him come back, right?
Save that deck for later. I'm excited. Maybe a few years down the road.
Yeah, we're super open to it. It's gameplay that we really like in Battlegrounds, and I think we ended up with the right cards for this set, but definitely something that we would look into potentially doing in the future.
I like teasers. Thank you.
I mean, okay, there's teasers, which, like, to be fair, we do tease things from time to time, and people either notice them or they don't. That's okay. I don't know that this one's necessarily a teaser. It's more so just us saying, we like Quillbore and we think they're cool.
Yep.
And maybe we'll do them someday. All right, but like I said, that was the finale section, but we're not done. In fact, we have another cycle of cards to go to, and let's check out the Harmonic and Dissonant spells in the set.
Oh, yeah. Harmonic Mood, more attack support for Druid. So we had seen the sort of hero power enabling cards and hero power buffing cards, which seemed like a good start for Zoc Fog Snout.
Yeah.
I think I said that right. I hope so. But now we've got like a way to like juice it up directly with the Harmonic and Dissonant Mood. I like that armor gain in particular. I think that's really nice.
Yeah, what I love about the Harmonic and Dissonant spells is that on each turn, you're kind of getting the same value, right? It's just numbers swapping, but the way that they swap just changes what the card does. I mean, very literally, obviously that's the whole mechanic, but like sometimes you don't need 4 attack for this card. Sometimes they're just gonna have a 2/2, and you're like, I need that armor. But you're in the harmonic mode, or sorry, you're in the dissonant mode, right? And you're like, okay, do I wait and kill this next turn, or do I just do it now? And those decision points, I think, add a lot.
And I love how the art pieces change between the harmonic and the dissonant modes. Obviously, with the druid one, you get daytime versus nighttime, and with that moonkin, it's just really cool. It's another little piece of sort of storytelling that we were excited to add in.
That nighttime art actually looks really nice.
It's really beautiful.
Rad. It's so rad.
So cool. The glows are awesome. So we've also got Harmonic Pop here for Priest. And this looks like a really nice potential board clear and a giant body. And I guess with the Priest legendary spell, you can even play this on turn 4 too, which feels like it would be really swinging.
Yeah,
that looks strong.
Yeah, this one's a lot of fun because I think the stats of a minion, like 1/1 versus dealing 1 damage to all minions, I don't think those are necessarily equivalent in power.
Right.
But situationally, right, each one has the perfect use case versus the other. So they have just a bunch of 3/3s. You obviously want the 6/6 versus you just need to kill everything. I'll take the 3/3 minion, right?
It's just sort of a little bit of bonus. 6 mana for 6 damage to all is just enough in a lot of situations, and then we tack on that little bit of a body on the backside that just sort of makes it a little bit sweeter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to, if you have a big minion on board, you might actually want the smaller AoE to kind of not damage your own stuff as much while still sweeping up the opponent's smaller minions.
And you get a
nice.
6/6.
Yeah, right. Bonus 6/6. I also like on this one how the artwork's pretty dramatically different. Like you go from 3 characters to 1. Usually the art is just a slight change up, but that one feels really different. The lone pop artist there, I feel kind of bad again. Yeah, so Harmonic Disco as well for Paladin. This one's pretty dramatic difference, like summoning a 5 cost or a 1 cost, but that means, I want a Ziliax. I think Ziliax
and you can get one.
And you can have one.
Yeah, this is personally, I think, one of my favorites in terms of the gameplay because the difference between a random 1 cost and a random 5 cost, for a 1 cost, there's a pretty good amount of 1 attack, 3 health minions.
Yeah.
So if you just want big dumb stats on board, you can go for what would that be? 8 stats, right?
We're good at math, yeah.
I think I did that right.
That's it, yeah.
But 5 cost minions, that's a mana threshold, I guess is the wrong word. A mana point where the random pool of minions have such varied effects, right? The average thing you're gonna get is just a lot more interesting. There's a lot more texture to that pool of cards, right? So the difference between the 2 harmonic and dissonant forms on the disco are actually a lot more different than it looks like at first, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, I think that the variance among just the different mana costs for these spells is really interesting. Like Harmonic Mood and Dissonant Mood aren't necessarily the biggest difference between the two, but then you look at Harmonic Pop and Dissonant Pop and Harmonic Disco and Dissonant Disco, and suddenly they can be quite dramatically different on both sides.
Yeah,
so there was some fun
drops.
Design space there.
Like 3/3s that are 5 drops with battle cries or something that don't really get you great effects, but there's also a lot of strong death rattles and powerful effects in the 5 mana slot as well. So.
The fact that you get to discover, you don't even have to pick the 3/3 unless you're the unluckiest person in the world and you're given the 3 worst options.
Trust me, the first time on stream, I'm gonna get the 3 worst possible minions. I don't even account for that. I know that's gonna happen. So.
Always Ziliax.
Yeah.
Always Ziliax.
Dude, please, yes. I love Ziliax. I'm so happy.
All right, and that is sort of the end of the different segments that we had going on. But of course, much like, music artists and genres, not everybody can be fit into a specific label. There are some people and some cards that just are a bit outside of the box. And so we've got a couple of miscellaneous hits for you here.
This isn't real metal.
All right, so that's Death Metal Knight. This is a 2 Blood Rune Death Knight card.
Yeah, I love that I get to play stuff when I'm spending all my time healing myself. I just constantly want to heal up and stay alive. But sometimes you sacrifice so much tempo when you're doing that. And Death Metal Knight's like, no, hey, you still get to play an awesome little taunt minion and slow down the opponents. This is a dream for me. But when you're picking out what to me looks like a seemingly random character here. I mean, he's cool and death metal-y, but is there any inspiration that drives these cards and these character choices?
Yeah, so with Death Knight specifically, it was a really cool opportunity to visit another band from Warcraft that up until Festival of Legends, I should say, we've really only seen like ETC as like the music guy. There's a whole other band in WoW, which is Blightbore. And in WoW, you can go see them perform, and they do this performance where as they're on stage, you're actually fighting the Death Metal Knight. They've got some beef with each other, Blightbore and the Death Metal Knight. They're like sworn enemies. You'll even see in his art, he's thumbs downing, and his VO is kind of making fun of Blightbore. Really cool that we managed to get this character in the set. Yeah.
That's awesome hearing all the backgrounds for this stuff that, sometimes we don't always see the details. I feel like I know a little bit of Warcraft lore, but you're like a master.
I would not say I'm a master. I do my research, right? But
we have a really wonderful lore team that helps us out, and there are some designers on the team that are very big World of Warcraft buffs.
Yeah.
I feel like Celestalon knows Warcraft.
He's one of them, yeah.
Anytime I have a question of any specific thing, I just bug him on Slack. Hey!
Resident expert.
Things.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we have another card here, Hollow Technician, I see. And this guy looks familiar too, speaking of characters. I feel like this is maybe a stretch, but this looks a bit like, I think it was Hollowmancer from Boomsday Project.
Yeah.
Really. And this effect too seems really specific. Any minion takes exactly 1 damage, which considering some of the spells Mage got this set, that doesn't feel like an accident necessarily. A lot of 2 damage floating around.
So Mage has their hero power, right? Which just deals 1. And with this card on the board, that's just destroying a minion, which is incredible. I think this is an effect that, I don't even know where it specifically started, but
sure.
if I could guess, we had the card Bubbler. That was the elemental that when it takes 1 damage, it dies.
Oh, yeah,
That effect is super fun. Admittedly, a little bit sad for Bubbler. But we thought, I guess we thought like, hey, let's just get that gameplay and put it on all minions and see what happens. Hollow Technician, low-key one of my favorite Mage cards in the set.
Really?
I love that card.
It's like Spectral Trainee, right? I think
Yeah,
from the mini set is
Mm-hmm.
dealing 1 to all minions, or enemy minions, so it could be a nice little board clear.
Oh yeah.
1-2 punch.
I love the opportunity for a good callback, even when it's a character that's like a little bit obscure. Players might not remember it too well, but in my experience, everybody loves some Hearthstone card, even if it might not be one that you personally are super attached to. So maybe there is a Hollowmancer fan out there who's really excited to see Hollow Technician.
Tag me on
I just
Twitter.
think it's really cool.
If you're the Hollowmancer fan, we want to hear about it. I'm curious, because that's like one of the most obscure Hearthstone cards, I feel like.
You're doubting the Hollowmancer fans?
I think one thing about this set that I had a lot of fun with on the design side of it is just revisiting characters from Hearthstone's past and figuring out what are they doing at a music festival? Are they performing? Are they listening? Right, and Hollowmancer is operating the lights, right? We've got Kangor and Paladin, who's an actual disco musician. It's a lot of fun, kind of fleshing out characters a bit more in that way.
Seeing their normal behind the scenes lives when they're not on board battling for us. What are they up to?
They have hobbies too. They're just like us.
Yeah.
All right, we've got a couple of spells here too that didn't quite fit the mold for any of the other sections. So let's go ahead and check these out.
Dirge of Despair, deal 3 damage to a character if it kills it. Summon a demon from your deck. So that's like Bane of Doom, but from your deck instead of a random minion. So you can build out with some giant demons and cheat them into play. That's pretty cool.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Cora. I think the original name we had put in the sheet was Super Bane of Doom.
Oh goodness, no, we're much more creative than that.
That's amazing.
We would never. Look, Bane of Doom was one of my old favorite cards to play in Arena because sometimes you just get a Doom guard and you just get your opponent for 5 damage. It was so good, but it's really not so good in today's Hearthstone. So we gave it a little bit of a facelift, a new name, an exciting new art piece, and it's much, much better now.
I'm just going to call it Super Bane of Doom on stream every time.
Yeah,
Surge of
that's
Despair
fine.
means
That's
nothing. Means nothing to me. So Synthesize is a new 1-mana spell, and this is another just like super value card. I want to play this. I want to get tons of free stuff. and just keep playing all kinds of elementals.
And fun fact, earlier I had talked about there was a card that was called Tempo for the longest time. This is the card. Yeah, because in my head, right, turn 1, you set up your tempo, and you play the elementals on 2 and 3.
You're getting the curve fill, yeah.
And then no one liked the name.
I like the name.
I think Synthesize is also pretty sweet.
Synthesize fits with the mage theme for this set better than Tempo did. Tempo
Yes.
maybe would have fit like in Warlock.
Sure.
But I think it's still a really great card and gives us the opportunity to hook into elementals a little bit more, which is something we really like to do for mage from time to time.
3 cards for 1 mana? Are we crazy? No.
I gotta think about what elementals are available to decide how crazy you are.
We've got a couple in this set. There's Rolling Stone for 2.
Oh,
There's
sure.
the Static Waveform for 3.
Oh, yeah.
If you play this on 1 into Rolling Stone on 2,
That's why I made this card.
you're cooking.
That's why I made this card.
Yeah, that's really good.
Taking ownership, I love it. Now I'm really excited. I see this mixtape here. I love Thief cards, Burgle style cards. I love Tess Greymane. This is an amazing enabler for Tess. Assuming you're not, I guess, playing another rogue. They're playing all neutral cards. But that looks like real fun to me.
Yeah, this is just, I forget where this design came from, but it's just fun to just slot into your decks. For Burgle decks, it's even better, but just as a one-off. Just
Right.
give me that. Take your opponent's stuff. Not literally, but let me borrow.
Yeah, it can be a pretty wide array of cards, so, you know, there might be something specific that you're looking for, but yeah, if you're playing a Burgle-style deck, anything is usually pretty good to be able to bring back, and we're certainly losing some Burgle pieces with the rotation with this set.
Yeah.
But I think Burgle is an archetype for Rogue that historically both players and devs, it's really fun, it's a really enjoyable Rogue archetype, so we like to reinforce it when we can.
Yeah, and if you assume your opponent is playing good cards, you're probably going to get good cards. So I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to build really bad decks.
And if my opponent wants to play mixtape,
Tony, so that they draw your bad
Yeah,
cards.
see, there's multiple angles here. This is the dream.
Oh my god.
The dream deck plan. And then also, Mellowmania, we saw teased earlier. I have to say, that kind of looked like us on the card art. Like this three goofy characters. I don't know who's who, but I got vibes of us.
I'm cool with that.
I mean, I'm just along for the ride. I like being included. What can I say? I have bad FOMO. It's actually super interesting because, Regis, I once saw a horse with watermelons for hair. It was a melon mane, yeah?
Oh.
Let me tell you,
I have to go.
That's the flavor text for Mellowmania. We were so tired, and Cora came up with that, and we were like, done.
Okay,
Ship
so
it.
Do it.
the whole flavor text process is just like, it's great. It's a wonderful,
It's a
beautiful,
fun time.
incredible thing. But it is never designers at their best. So it's usually about Friday at like 4 p.m. We're tired. We're like, we gotta get this done. Like it's due tomorrow, and that's where
Sometimes
some
you
of
end
those
up
come
with
from.
treasures like that one.
Mellowmania.
Sometimes you come up with melon made. Sometimes you come up with really, really good ones. And sometimes you come up with
The best one.
some of the flavor text of all time.
Wow. Can't wait to see that in game. What a way to end the stream, too.
Gosh.
What a legacy to go out on.
Okay, Regis, I have to ask. We threw a lot of cards at you today. Do you have a favorite one that we showed you?
I think always legendaries. So I'm gonna go all the way back to the beginning with Rhythm and Roots.
Going back to your rhythm.
That
and roots.
animation was wow.
Mellowmania.
You're good. You guys are great. I mean, just the animations, the music stinger, like all it's so epic. Always feeling playing cards like that, and I like big stats too. So that plus like drum circle, just get a big old board of taunts, a big wall of taunts. That's my playstyle. So I'm gonna say Rhythm and Roots. You guys have any standouts?
I mean, I like all the cards, but that's a pretty lame answer.
He's biased.
I mean, I really like the harmonic and dissonant spells. Specifically, I already talked about harmonic disco, just the texture that you get and how different it is with such a simple, just change 2 numbers. I love those spells, and I'm really excited to play them.
I'll go ahead and pick Finale. I think Finale is a really fun, sort of simple keyword that we made, but I think functionally it feels really good to play. And I like some of the designs we've done there. I think there's some really interesting ones.
You don't like all the designs for them?
No. I have favorites, and I always will. They're all good designs, Leo. No, but thank you so much, Regis, for joining us today, even though we just picked you up off the street. I feel like you came really prepared. So thank you so much for that. It's always really fun to have you here in the studio to get a chance to just talk some Hearthstone. I feel like we haven't done this in a really long time.
Yeah,
so
it's been
thank
fun
you.
nerding out in between, like before we shoot too. Just actually chatting about Hearthstone is always so great. You guys clearly love the game, and it's fun to share that with you. So thank you. Thanks for having me.
Would you like to tell the people where to find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitch and YouTube, of course. Just Regis Kilbin. Literally go to regiskilbin.com and it'll take you right there. So come hang out and play some Hearthstone with me. Build some bad decks.
Oh, we're super excited to see what you're going to build when Festival of Legends goes live. But remember, everybody, that the pre-purchase is live right now. It's only live until the set goes live, and that's going to be on April 11th. If you haven't logged in yet, make sure you log in, get your free copy of ETC Band Manager. You can build out your sideboard, build out your band right now in Hearthstone. Thank you both so much for joining me today. It was wonderful getting a chance to chat some Hearthstone with you. And thank you all for watching. We'll see you very soon in the tavern.